Hi all, it's Shyma Jundi here from UK, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about attachment styles. So what are attachment styles? The theory around attachment stems from childhood, so it can be applicable to children, but it also very much is a pattern that follows us through into adulthood and beyond. So attachment theory stems around the fact that there are three types of attachment styles, and the one that we exhibit the most will depend on our experiences when we were children. So the three types of attachment styles are secure, anxious, and avoidant. And the theory is that for secure people, they had a healthy attachment with their mother when they grew up. So, for example, if their mother would leave the room at any stage, they would have a healthy expectation that their mother would come back, and when their mother came back, they would interact with them naturally and openly. Anxious individuals had a strained relationship with their mother in terms of if their mother would go away and then come back. In the period that she was away for, they would be incredibly anxious about where she was, what had happened to her, whether she would come back, if they would be able to, if, as a child, they would have sustenance. All of these really crazy, well, not crazy, but really anxious and overwhelming thoughts would be present with them. So that's the second one. And the third style is avoidant. So avoidant types learned to be self-sufficient. They may have had experiences in childhood in which they had to rely on themselves quite a lot. Perhaps their parents were quite absent, or their parents weren't able to give them the care that they needed. So, for example, if their parents went away for a while and then returned, they would probably be quite detached. When the parent returned, they would sort of be indifferent and not really engage very much with them and kind of shrug it off. That's characteristics of a child with a primarily avoidant attachment style. So the reason this is significant, not just for child psychology, but also when counselling adults, is that this is a pattern that can very much be exhibited in relationships when we reach adulthood. So we never really forget our attachment style, and it becomes predominant, particularly in romantic relationships, but in other relationships too. So what you can do if you want to diagnose a client's attachment style, or if you feel that them understanding their attachment style will help them, you can ask questions to try and understand which attachment style they are. So I've got some stats here for you. So 50% of people are secure, which is great. Generally, secure people are very comfortable relating with others and exhibit healthy relationship behaviors. 25% are avoidant, which I'll go through in a minute what that means in terms of how they act as adults. And 20% are anxious. I know that doesn't total to 100% because the rest of the population are disorganized, so they have traits that will, be a combination of all three or none at all. But the majority of people fall into predominantly one, or maybe even 50% of one and 50% of another. So just to give you some idea of the types of characteristics that will help you identify one trait over another, one attachment style over another. So for an anxious person, the way they will act in their relationships is they will want closeness. They will crave closeness, they will crave intimacy because they want that comfort that they may not have received as a child. They want that connection. They might be afraid that their partner doesn't want the same, or the other person in the relationship doesn't want the same. They probably get attached very quickly because they project, that image onto the other person, that, oh, this person is great, this person is going to give me the reassurance that I need. They will give a lot of energy into relationships. They will be very sensitive to the other person's moods. So any kind of fluctuation in mood, anything even slightly negative, they will take notice and take very much to heart. They may experience very negative emotions because this stems from the anxiety and the excessive worrying. They could misbehave and, confide in you that they have said something that they regret because of all of the worry. And they might feel that there's something wrong with them because, especially in childhood, if they felt that they weren't receiving the closeness that they needed, they could self-blame and say, oh, that was because of me and I should have been different. So the best thing for anxious individuals is if, in whatever relationship we're discussing, whether it's romantic, friendship, or a family member, if the other person in the interaction is secure, that's really, really good, because that other person can provide them with a safe basis for the relationship. And with time, you will probably see that the anxious person's anxiety mellows a little bit. May not ever totally go away because this is something that stems from their childhood, but they can learn definitely to manage their behaviors. And even if the person that they're interacting with is not secure, there are still tips that you can give them to manage their behaviors. Okay, so that's the anxious person. Secure people, I mean, this is fairly straightforward. They're naturally very warm and loving. They enjoy intimacy. They don't overstress about relationships' ups and downs, and they effectively communicate their needs. They are very good at supporting the partner, which is why they make great partners for anxious people and for avoidance. And they have a realistic view of blame. So they probably won't overly blame themselves. They probably won't overly blame the other person in the interaction. But, they've got a balanced view of, okay, where they need to take responsibility and where they maybe need to ask somebody else to act a little bit differently. So that's secure. And they pretty much are good matches for everyone in general. And then avoidant people, they really, really value their independence and their autonomy. They, as a child, maybe felt like they really had to rely on themselves. So as an adult, they're going to prioritize relying on themselves. They may want to be close. It's not like they don't want, romantic relationships or friendships or anything, but they also will feel comfortable with too much intimacy. They won't worry too much about relationships' ups and downs because, they didn't really worry about that as a child. They had to rely on themselves, and so it's the same thing when they're an adult. They won't open up easily. They might worry about relationships restricting them. They worry about, being caged. In terms of romantic relationships, they might have this ideal, I have this ideal love, and nothing ever really seems to match up to that. But, that's, you can read between the lines and understand that that's not actually the case. That's just their avoidant necessity manifesting. Does that make sense? So because they're more comfortable relying on themselves, they'll just come up with the basis that, oh, well, I'd rather rely on myself because I'm never going to find this ideal love. So it's a fallacy. They might feel that there's something wrong with the people that they're in interactions with or their partners. And again, that's just a mechanism for them maintaining a distance. And they could tend to be less happy and satisfied in relationships. Again, another mechanism for maintaining distance. So, around 70 to 75% of adults remain the same attachment style throughout their adult life. But as you can see, not everyone does, especially in romantic interactions, their attachment style can change. So, for example, if an anxious person is in a romantic relationship with a secure person, with time, the anxious person might actually become more secure because it can be a very healthy relationship. And once they see that they are safe and they feel that their needs are being met, they might actually become more secure in their attachment style. So yes, I think that's a lot of information for me to give you guys for now. If you have any more questions about that, let me know. In terms of sort of how to advise clients who come to you and you can identify that they have one of these attachment styles. Initially, awareness is the main thing. So you can explain to them that this may have stemmed from their childhood and that these are typical behaviors of someone with this particular attachment style, and that, you know, it's normal or it's expected for someone with their attachment style to exhibit these behaviors. So reassuring them that it's understandable as to why they developed this and why they're exhibiting these behaviors is a very important first step. And then if they do want to change certain behaviors, for example, if an anxious person wants to become less stressed, you can give them advice based on what a secure person would do or how a secure person would approach the relationship. It's not going to be an automatic fix because, of course, their inner voice is still going to be talking from an anxious attachment style, but like I said, with time, they can become more secure. So if you want more information on this, I highly recommend this book. I don't know if that's inverted on the video, but it's called Attached, and it is by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. I can send you the details of it if you wish. And it goes through in sort of very easy to read and very digestible language the 3 attachment styles and how they exhibit in behaviors and how you can modify them should you wish to do so. So I hope that helped. If you have any questions about that, please do let me know, and I will see you on the next video and chat to you in the group. Thank you. Bye.